Every single day, you repeat behaviors you barely even notice. You wake up, check your phone, brush your teeth, drink coffee, scroll social media, eat the same foods, think the same thoughts, and eventually those tiny repeated actions become your identity. The truth is this: your life is not controlled by goals. It's controlled by habits. Today, you'll learn exactly how habits work, how your brain builds them, why bad habits feel impossible to break, and how tiny changes can completely transform your life. By the end of this video, you'll understand the psychology behind behavior better than most people ever will. A habit is simply a behavior repeated enough times that your brain starts doing it automatically. Think about driving a car. The first time you drive, it feels terrifying. You think about every movement, every turn, every mirror. But after enough repetition, your brain creates shortcuts. Now you can drive while listening to music, thinking about dinner, or having a conversation. That's because habits are the brain's way of saving energy. Your brain loves efficiency. It wants to automate as much as possible because thinking deeply all day would burn enormous amounts of energy. So your brain turns repeated actions into automatic patterns. This process happens inside a part of the brain called the basal ganglia. Once a habit is formed, your brain stops fully participating. You go into autopilot. And that's both powerful and dangerous, because if repeated actions become automatic, then your habits are literally programming your future. Almost every habit follows the same invisible cycle. Psychologists call this the habit loop. It has four stages: cue, craving, response, reward. The cue is the trigger. Maybe it's boredom, stress, a notification sound, or simply entering a room. Then comes the craving. Your brain anticipates pleasure, relief, or satisfaction. Then comes the response. You take action. You open Instagram, eat junk food, smoke, study, exercise, and finally the reward. Your brain receives dopamine, and dopamine teaches the brain one important message. Remember this behavior. That's how habits get reinforced, not because they're good, but because they're rewarded. Bad habits aren't usually destroyed by logic, because habits don't live in the rational part of your brain. They live in repetition. That's why people continue behaviors they know are harmful. Your brain prioritizes immediate rewards over long-term consequences. A donut now feels more real than healthy eating later. Scrolling now feels better than discipline later. And modern technology exploits this perfectly. Apps are engineered to hijack your dopamine system. Infinite scrolling, notifications, short-form videos. They create constant stimulation. And the more stimulation your brain receives, the harder normal life feels. Books feel boring. Work feels slow. Silence feels uncomfortable. Your attention becomes fragmented, and your habits become reactive instead of intentional. That's why discipline today is less about willpower and more about environment design. The good news is this: your brain can be rewired, and small habits create massive transformations over time. Most people fail because they try to change their entire life overnight. But behavior change works differently. Tiny actions repeated consistently become identity. If you read one page every day, you become a reader. If you train for 10 minutes daily, you become someone who exercises. The key is consistency, not intensity. There are four powerful ways to build habits faster. First, make it obvious. If you want to read more, place books where you can see them. Second, make it easy. Reduce friction. Want to work out? Sleep in your gym clothes. Third, make it rewarding. Celebrate small wins. Your brain repeats what feels good. And finally, make it part of your identity. Don't say, I'm trying to exercise. Say, I'm the type of person who takes care of their body. Identity creates permanence. Habits are powerful because they compound. Tiny actions seem insignificant in the moment, but over months and years, they completely change your trajectory. Imagine improving just 1% every day. At first, nothing looks different, but eventually those small improvements become extraordinary results. Success is rarely one dramatic moment. It's usually invisible progress repeated consistently, and failure works the same way. One bad decision rarely ruins your life, but repeated daily, small negative habits become massive consequences. Your future is hidden inside your daily routine. At the end of the day, habits are votes for the person you become. Every action matters, every repetition matters. You may not notice the change today or tomorrow, but your brain is always adapting, always learning, always becoming. And once you understand how habits truly work, you stop relying on motivation. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You build systems instead of chasing feelings. Because the people who change their lives aren't usually more talented. They simply master their daily behaviors. So start small, start imperfectly, but start today because your future self is being created one habit at a time.